I have been told that this is the most dangerous place to be this time of year, at the base of the mountains when the grizzlies first come out. I've seen some tracks today, but I haven't seen any right around here. But I keep hearing snow falling from the trees. We had about 4 inches of snow yesterday. I keep hearing snow falling from the trees, and then I keep wondering if there's someone or something around me. But anyhow, it's just such a beautiful spot. I thought I'd pull over and share another experience with you. Got my bear spray. This is a particularly interesting story to me because it has to do with a golfer, and I enjoy my golf. So let's get started. Joe says, it was a beautiful day, just beautiful, and I was hitting the golf ball really well. It wasn't often that Joe Farley went golfing when family had come to visit, but he and his brother-in-law Daniel were on a fairway in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. They were both enjoying a great round when they noticed a thunderstorm brewing in the distance. They quickly decided to make their way towards cover. Daniel says, I'd taken maybe 4 or 5 steps when this bolt of lightning come down, and the next thing I know, I'm laying on the ground. I could feel it going through me like I'd been shocked by 110. The lightning bolt had struck Joe directly on his head, and now he lay unconscious. Daniel got up and rushed to his brother-in-law's side. Joe didn't have a pulse. He wasn't breathing, so I began CPR. At first, it didn't work, and it really scared me to see something like that. I mean, you could smell his burnt flesh, which is a terrible smell. And then all of a sudden he came to, alive but unconscious. Without a cell phone, Daniel yelled at the golfers behind them to call 911. Within minutes, an ambulance rushed them to the hospital, while Daniel arranged for Joe's wife to meet them there. I was in total shock, Don says. It was almost like I was living inside a dream. When I made it to the hospital and went in, they were just putting staples in my husband's head. Daniel had left the accident without any injuries, while his brother-in-law began immediate treatment at St. Luke's Hospital in Bethlehem. Joe's doctor remembers the case. With Joe having been reported as dead in the field, and then that being substantiated by multiple bystanders in EMS, these patients, you expect them to have something within the range of weeks to months before any recovery. Joe described his pain as 10 out of 10 in both arms, specifically saying that it felt as though 1,000 little needles were pressing into his arms constantly. And he was also experiencing weakness in his upper extremities. Joe says, I'll never forget the pain. It was so bad, I literally begged them to cut my arms off. It was so bad. They said the lightning had traveled down both of my arms into my hands and actually destroyed all the nerves and muscle tissue. And then, when they tried taking the morphine out of my arm, my body went into convulsions. It went crazy. Joe is a Christian, and his family and friends immediately began praying for his recovery. As soon as people found out what had happened, everybody began to pray, Don says, and I can only say that a peace began to come over me. Alone in his room that night, Joe never considered how unusual his recovery was going to be, until he was startled by something that woke him. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, just lying there, with a room just as bright as can be, and all I heard was, "Get out of bed, you've been healed." I heard the voice, and this is hard to believe, vibrated throughout my body. It was unlike any voice I'd ever heard before. It was a powerful voice. It scared me so much that I just did it. I took the morphine off of me, which they had tried to do hours before and couldn't. I took the IVs out of my arm and took the oxygen off me, threw the blanket off me, and just hopped onto my feet. A doctor rushed in and found Joe standing beside his bed. I grabbed him by the shirt collar and said, "You're a doctor, right?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, "Good, we're going for a walk." I said, "If I fall, you're going to have to pick me back up." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And we walked around the trauma center. There was no pain. There wasn't anything. At 6 a.m., another doctor came in to check on Joe. I looked at her, hopped onto my feet, went over and grabbed a hold of her hand. I said, "Let's go for a walk." And her face went totally blank. I mean, just totally blank. She said, "Did you sleep last night?" I said, "Yeah, I slept like a baby till 3 in the morning, and then Jesus told me to get out of bed, that I was healed." And I go, "When we get back to this room, I want you to bring every machine you have and check me out." I said, "Because I think I can go home." Doctors performed a series of comprehensive tests. They were amazed at the results. Joe's doctor says, "Someone who comes in having been dead in the field and going home in 48 hours later is dramatic." We were pleasantly surprised that he did not have something of a structural nature of damage to his brain or to the upper part of his spinal cord. In general, he looked like he'd gotten his strength back. Only 2 days after being struck by 10 million volts of lightning, the staples were removed from Joe's head and he was released to go home. His wife says, one day they're all saying he'll need rehab to relearn how to write and eat, and that he wouldn't be able to walk. And then the next day, he's up and walking and ready to come home. A couple days later, Joe got the mirror out so he could see the back of his head. He noticed that there was no scar and no scar tissue. There was nothing there. Almost exactly 1 month after the accident, Joe returned to work. And he still has the hat he was wearing when he was struck. He says, "It was always my favorite hat, but now it's got a hole in it." I'm a skeptical person. I have to see things, I have to touch things, and what happened to me, it was Jesus. It was Jesus. I got hit by lightning that should have blown me apart. I should be fertilizer on that golf course right now. Don believes it was also the prayers of everyone. Joe agrees. Everybody says it was a miracle. No, it's this way. Way beyond that. It's only because of God's grace that I'm sitting here. And that is the only reason. Okay, so if you're a skeptic, or perhaps your faith is low right now, and you're worried about what the future might hold in store for you, how do you not only explain Joe being awakened by the powerful voice of the Lord, but also his miraculous and complete recovery? Well, I hope that someone who hears this can take comfort from this and find faith. That's what these videos are all about. All I want to do is just share with others experiences that people have had with their faith through answered prayers, or just how their faith helped them to overcome a difficult situation. And I think when you hear something like what happened to Joe, you've got to admit there's something there. And that thing that's there is the Lord. Anyhow, thank you very much. I think I am going to continue on my way. You can see the snow fall from the trees sometimes. They make a little noise. And so you're always wondering if there's something sneaking up behind you. I'll do a little pan around so you can see what's out here. And thank you for coming by. And may God continue to bless you and yours. Here, let me give you an idea what's around this area. I'm kind of in a valley. I've got mountains pretty much all around me. Well, the trees aren't going to let me see it that way. But I got mountains pretty much all around me. You can hear the traffic behind me. That's the weird thing about being in a valley. You can hear the traffic all around me, even though it's about a mile away, or a half mile away, off in this direction here. But isn't this beautiful? 50 degrees, 45 degrees let's say. Don't need a coat, snow on the ground, and there you go. Well, you have a wonderful day. Bye now.